Hello, hello, hello. This is the Vanilla.js podcast. I'm Chris Ferdinandi. Thanks so much for joining me. Today, I'm talking about Entropy, developer experience, and Vanilla.js. So, a few weeks back, Jim Nielsen published an article called Cheating Entropy with Native Web Technologies. And it just hit on so many things that I've experienced and feel strongly about. So, in it, Jim described two different types of projects and wrote, quote, "When I open an old project like number 2, in this case built with libraries and abstractions, I find Entropy staring me back in the face. Library updates, breaking API changes, refactored mental models, and possible downright obsolescence. An incredible amount of effort will be required to make a simple change, test it, and get it live. Conversely, when I open an old project like number 1, in this case, built with vanilla HTML, CSS, and JS, I find myself relieved. A project authored in native web technologies, enhanced with an eye towards the future, with little or no tooling, leaves me facing few obstacles. Remove a couple of shims that are no longer needed, and that's about it. Imagine that. You can remove code to update a project." So, I talk about this a bit in my talk and book, The Lean Web. In it, I describe the deep dependency change that modern tooling forces on you. It's like this house of cards that collapses around you the moment one dependency goes out of date. Jim describes it like this. Quote, "On the other hand, a project built on abstractions from native web technologies, frameworks, tooling, language sub-supersets, will contain innumerable dependencies with countless major version changes over time. Updating a single dependency often requires updating everything. Building on top of base web technologies, where possible, is a way to cheat that entropy and churn of modern web technology abstractions." And Jim comes to the same conclusion that I have, that native web technology results in a better developer experience than the tooling that's supposed to do just that. Jim writes, "The more I author code as it will be run by the browser, the easier it will be to maintain that code over time, despite the perceived inferior developer ergonomics. Remember, developer experience encompasses both the present and the future, i.e., how simple are the ergonomics to build this now and maintain it in the future. I don't mind typing some extra characters now if it means I don't have to learn, relearn, set up, configure, integrate, update, maintain, and inevitably troubleshoot a build tool or framework later." And damn, does this hit so close to home. It is so hard to get set up in the first place with a modern developer toolchain. I distinctly remember on multiple occasions starting new jobs where the first week is wasted just getting build tools set up and figuring out why stuff won't work on a specific machine and what's going wrong and what's out of date and what needs to be reconfigured and what has like the latest version number, but this one was actually based on an old version number, so everything's fucked. Like it's a lot. And then if you ignore something for a year and come back to it, everything's broken, and changing one line of code requires spending several hours debugging why a build is broken. It's absurd. And Jim's article really digs into this in a lot of depth. It's a great read. I really recommend you go check out the whole thing. I'm going to drop a link to it down in the show notes, as well as a link to my book and talk, The Lean Web, because it builds on some of this in some different directions. But I think Jim's article is absolutely fantastic, and you should definitely go read it. So anyways, that's it. If you want to finally master JavaScript, head over to vanillajsguides.com and check out my pocket guides and video courses. As a listener of the show, you can take 30% off with the code podcast at checkout. See you next time. Cheers.